Valeri Vasilievich.
Valeri Gerasimov. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief. Valeri Gerasimov. I know that you have information on the latest developments in the Kursk area. What are the results of the combat work over the past 24 hours and over the entire previous period? Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief. Today, the last settlement in the Kursk region, the village of Gornal, has been liberated from Ukrainian units. The units of the 22nd Motorized Rifle Regiment of the 72nd Division, the 810th and 40th Separate Marine Brigades, the 177th Separate Marine Regiment, and the 1,427th Motorized Rifle Regiment have particularly distinguished themselves. The defeat of the armed formations of the armed forces of Ukraine that had invaded the Kursk region has thus been completed. The plans of the Kiev regime to create a so-called strategic bridgehead and disrupt our offensive in Donbass have failed. At the initial stage of the operation, the enemy's advance deep into our territory was halted, with a subsequent reduction in the area of encroachment. Ukrainian units were forced to go on the defensive. Later, by counterstrikes from the flanks along the state border by two airborne divisions, the 76th and 106th, as well as by the actions of the 155th and 810th Marine Brigades, the main grouping of the Ukrainian armed forces was isolated and subsequently dismembered and destroyed piece by piece. The most active phase of the operation began on March 6 this year. As a result of the offensive actions of the formations and military units of the Kursk group simultaneously in all directions, as well as the breakthrough into the enemy's rear by the forces of an underground landing force consisting of the veterans' volunteer formation, personnel of the 11th Airborne Assault Brigade, the 30th Motorized Rifle Regiment, and the Akhmet Special Purpose Detachment along the gas transport pipe. The defense of the Ukrainian armed forces collapsed. A chaotic withdrawal of Ukrainian units began, and within 5 days the area of the enclosure was reduced by 2.5 times. In the course of further actions, the few remnants of Ukrainian elite units were defeated and driven out of the Kursk region. During the operation, the enemy suffered significant losses. In order to maintain the number of its grouping at about 60,000 people, the AFU was forced to constantly transfer reserves and units from other areas to the Kursk direction. The total losses of the formations of the armed forces of Ukraine totaled more than 76,000 servicemen killed and wounded. In fact, one component of the original enemy grouping was knocked out, and even more than 7,700 pieces of military equipment were destroyed, including 412 tanks, 340 infantry fighting vehicles, 314 armored personnel carriers, and some 2,300 other armored combat vehicles. I should like to note in particular the participation in the liberation of the border areas of Kursk province of soldiers of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, who, in line with the Treaty on Comprehensive Strategic Partnership between our countries, provided significant assistance in defeating the Ukrainian armed forces grouping that had become entrenched. The soldiers and officers of the Korean People's Army, performing combat tasks side by side with Russian servicemen in repelling the Ukrainian invasion, showed high professionalism, fortitude, bravery, and valor in battle. Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief, measures are currently being taken in the liberated areas of the Kursk region to identify lone AFU servicemen attempting to hide on Russian territory. Forest areas, basements, and abandoned buildings are being checked. Local authorities assist in restoring peaceful life. The engineering units of the Northern Group of Forces and the International Mine Action Center of the Military Engineering Academy are carrying out continuous demoning of the territory and destruction of explosive objects. 19 settlements have been completely checked and cleared. 110 demoning teams, more than 1,000 personnel, have been involved in this work. According to your instructions, the creation of a security zone in the border areas of Sumy region of Ukraine continues. 4 settlements have been liberated. The total area of the controlled territory is more than 90 square kilometers. In addition, in the Belgorod region, units of the Northern Group of Forces have completed the destruction of Ukrainian sabotage groups near the Popovka settlement. Individual AFU servicemen hiding in the border forest belts are being searched for and eliminated. In other areas, the combined group of troops is continuing to fulfill its tasks in accordance with the plan of the Special Military Operation.